The Outer Worlds is releasing right around the corner, and if you have no idea what's going on, we're here to keep you informed with 10 things you need to know about The Outer Worlds. Starting off with number 10, The Outer Worlds isn't even out yet, and an Obsidian team member has already gone on record talking about how they are interested in making more Outer Worlds games in the future. In an interview with narrative designer Megan Stark, she talks about how, since Microsoft acquired Obsidian, they've been super supportive and invested in their work. When asked if Obsidian would be down with a sequel, she said this, and I quote, "I guess it depends on if people like the game, but we would be absolutely interested in plans like it, yeah. I really enjoyed making this game, so I would like to work on it for a while longer." I mean, that's kind of an obvious answer. Person who has a job wants to continue doing that job, but still. She also went on to say that since Outer Worlds is from the minds of the original Fallout creators, that they have notes and notes of lore that they have at their disposal. And to get you caught up in the Outer Worlds, you play as someone who's found on a colonist ship that has been lost for decades. After waking up, you discover that there's a conspiracy to destroy the Halcyon colony, and in the usual video game fashion, it's up to you to get to the bottom of it and prevent it from happening. And I guess we can assume, according to the quotes, that if the game does well, it could see a sequel. But anyway, next at number 9, The Outer Worlds is confirmed to have multiple endings. And I quote, drastically different ones in fact. Writers have confirmed that these endings and the variations will be based around 2 core different path choices. In an interview with DualShockers and clarifying again with VGC, writer Leonard Boyarsky said, "At the end of the game, there are slides to show how you affected different things. There are 2 basic paths at the end, whether you sided with Phineas or the board, that's kind of the first beat of the end, how that played out and what that choice was. After that, you get a whole series of slides that talk about the results of your actions and consequences of the choices you made throughout the whole game. So there are quite a few different endings. I haven't added up the different permutations, but there are quite a lot of variations," he said. First of all, it's really interesting to see them go so candid and just say straight up, hey, at the end of the game, there's going to be a big dual choice type thing. I'm sure there's more to it than that. I don't think they're going to spill all the beans like that, but it's still good to know some stuff going in. The endings of the game are either, one of the 2 sides you choose, coupled with, apparently, a bunch of smaller ramifications grouped together from all of your little decisions made throughout the game. So, good luck. The fate of the space colony is in your hands. Now over at number 8, the length of the game itself is something we've seen lots of people asking about. So here's what we know. The number from the developers is roughly 15 to 40 hours. This is of course totally dependent on your playstyle. How much you talk to people, how much you actually listen, maybe you skip all the dialogue, maybe you're running down every civilian and NPC and getting through the game quick, maybe you're just good and you're the ultimate gamer. Developers have said from the official E3 livestream last year that the game's length is, and I quote, really nice, just enough to have a lot of fun with it and feel like it's meaty, but not so long that you can't finish it. That's a really funny quote that can be totally misconstrued, but 40 hours at the higher end might sound like a bummer to some players. I mean, come on, like Skyrim, New Vegas, those games felt like you could spend forever in them. Making a spiritual successor like The Outer Worlds a potential disappointment in length. But here's where I think it's interesting. The character build and the open-ended mission approaches, I think, strongly encourage replaying. We'll talk about it more in a little bit. Maybe with this, I'm looking on the bright side. The Outer Worlds looks to build a new universe and story and have some decent sense of humor. If that game is packed to the gills with quality everything and there is no filler and it's expertly paced, I don't really mind the shorter length. Maybe it'll make it feel unique and concise and just totally good top to bottom. That's of course extremely wishful thinking on my end, trying to look at the glass half full, but we'll have to wait and see when the game launches soon. Because moving on over to number 7, of course, in the game, you will create your own character. I know a lot of our viewers out there love a good character creator, and there apparently is one here. Although note, your protagonist doesn't have any voice acting, and you don't really see them much at all during the game since it's from a first-person perspective. Helmets and bodysuits are the name of the game here in terms of customizing loot. You're not getting individual boots and legs and gauntlets. It's a bit more simple, but the stats are where it's exciting. Skills to flesh out in science, medical, engineering, leadership, melee, lockpick, deception, persuasion, intimidation, to name a few. You're also beefing up stats like endurance and willpower, and throughout the game, you can develop flaws that affect your character's numbers. Like getting your ass kicked against too many evil robots, you will develop robophobia, and that will affect your stats in unique and interesting ways. There is no morality system like a good or evil thing, but you will have a reputation level to worry about for whenever you're dealing with the civilizations out there. Your character is more unique in the stats department, more than the visual department, and it's all what your character is doing that makes it more interesting. Over at number 6, one of the reasons why we're so excited for the Outer Worlds is the game's open-ended RPG possibilities. There is a ton of player choice in this game, it seems, and from what we've seen so far, it's designed from the ground up to cater to as many different play styles and ways to play and tackle things as possible in that smart, classic PC RPG kind of way. It's first-person Fallout style, and it definitely operates as a shooter first and foremost. Weapons feel good though, but the real meat and potatoes is how you tackle quests and side missions. Say you need to get into a building to do a thing. Do you sneak in the back? You hack your way in? Shoot your way in? Talk your way in? This involves a really great disguise system where if you're wearing the right outfit, you can disguise and navigate through a building as long as you don't slip up. And if you do slip up or take too long, you can then talk your way out of it if you're confronted, and you have 3 strikes essentially. And the results are often really funny. It's a good example of the amount of variety to character builds in this game. People react to you depending on like what you do and like your stats, and not only that, what you wear as well. Now, all of this stuff, all approaches surround one of 3 pillars, like I said: stealth, combat, and dialogue. But it's how you branch out each individual skills when you level up that will make your playthrough, likely more unique. In our hands-on preview of the game, we really pick up on the fact that none of the 3 pillars of stealth, combat, or dialogue feel half-assed. They each have enough RPG systems running through them that it doesn't feel like one of them is the weaker choice. Thankfully, because there's so much tacked on to each, like subsystems. Just hopefully this really carries through to the entire game, because it seems awesome. Because next at number 5, with a game as big as Outer Worlds, it's safe to assume that there's going to be a shit ton of different weapons, and there definitely is. There are 1- and 2-handed melee weapons, handguns, long guns, heavy weapons, shotguns, and also science weapons, which we'll get to in a second. When we got to play a bit of Outer Worlds, we can confirm that the weapons all feel pretty different. Melee weapons in particular surprised us. You still kind of just swing them around, but they felt way better than we were expecting, and were surprisingly useful and had some impact. But science weapons, for a minute, they're kind of like Outer Worlds' exotic weapons. As of right now, it's confirmed that there are 5 in the game, 1 for each weapon type, with each one being unique in its own way. So we've heard about 3. First, there's the Shrink Ray, which, shrinks enemies. The more you shrink them, the lower their damage threshold gets, and which you can definitely use to your advantage. Then there's the Force Ultimatum, which shoots out bouncing fireballs. And then the Mandibular Rearranger, which will actually randomly resize parts of the enemy's face. I shit you not. That's awesome. There are wacky weapons. They really are. They're hidden throughout the world, most of them requiring you to stray off from the beaten path. It's nice to know that there's something really good out there in the world for us to discover, though, while we're playing. Now, over at number 4, the Outer Worlds will have a party companion system that, on the surface, works pretty much as you'd expect. Throughout the game, you stumble upon or run into or meet up with characters who can join on as your companion. They will follow you, they'll help you out in combat, and even take up a role in conversations you have throughout the world, sometimes affecting the story. You can have more than one with you at a time as well. They also bring certain skills. First of all, they increase your carrying capacity, which is nice. If you have enough points in something like, say, leadership, you can unlock and give them commands to do special combat abilities. Also, one of the more interesting is how characters can bring their skills and abilities into the dynamics of conversations. Say you're in a situation where you need to lie or trick your way through a conversation. Say you're not the highest level with deception. Well, if there's a shady character who's along for the ride, having them there might still unlock a deception conversation option for you, and the conversation can still go down, often with that character directly involved. There's a good variety of companions, some more heavy and combat focused than others. Also, Obsidian has confirmed that you're not really going to be able to romance the companions. So if that's something you're into with these games, and I know some of you are, know that your options are probably going to be limited to not much at all. But over at number 3, on a weird note, in the game, in true hardcore RPG fashion, you can kill literally everyone and then still complete the game. A senior designer confirmed with PC Games N that even by blowing away quest givers and companions, you can still somehow get to the end of the game, like the end screen. According to Obsidian, this makes the game drastically more challenging. Now, you can guess that because of that pretty much means by everyone dying, you miss out on the potential quests to get stronger or get better gear. It's also probably going to be pretty freaking boring because there's not really anyone to talk to. But with this, I am absolutely calling it that YouTube will be flooded with videos of folks trying to get through the game the hard way by just slaughtering everyone. Maybe it'll become like the next big challenge, like taking no hits in Dark Souls or something like that. I don't know. Still, I think this is something that might sound minor, but is a really big deal because it shows just what type of game Obsidian seems to be trying to make here and why we're excited. Now down to number 2, of course, we gotta talk about post-launch content and maybe microtransactions. Now, during an interview from the summer of this year, narrative designer Dan McPhee touched on the possibility of post-launch content making its way into the game. He said, and I quote, "We would love to. I mean, we've created this cool setup, so the more we get to do it, the better." Now, with a game like this, I can totally see them adding a new planet with a new set of missions, characters, and weapons, stuff like that. And if they've really built out the universe and its lore to the extent that they're saying, it could be pretty simple for them to do. Now, another member of the dev team went on record confirming that there will be no microtransactions whatsoever in Outer Worlds. According to a post on the Obsidian forum, Private Division, the publisher, hasn't pushed for microtransactions to be added. Now, I know it's a sensitive topic, and a lot of times developers will catch flack for a publisher decision, so it's just really nice to hear that the publisher here isn't forcing the dev team to include anything in their game that they don't want. Now, down at number 1, some of the housekeeping. The Outer Worlds will be releasing on PS4, Xbox One, and PC on October 25th, 2019. From the looks of it, this is actually going to be a pretty simple release. There's just a standard version of the game, no special editions, and the only pre-order bonuses you get are on the PlayStation Store, where you'll get 6 avatars. This is extremely streamlined and simple, kind of like the good old days. Now, it's worth pointing out that on PC, it will be exclusively available on the Windows Store and the Epic Games Store, with the game releasing on Steam a year after launch. It's also on Xbox Game Pass and is available on both Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, so no matter which one you're subscribed to, you'll have access to the game. Here's hoping it's good. We're always looking for a good new first-person RPG, but like I said, we'll have to find out on October 25th. Those are 10 things you need to know to be informed about the Outer Worlds before it comes out. We would love to know what you guys are thinking about this game, where your expectations are, because we've been really excited for a while. We've named it our most anticipated, but we want to know how you guys are feeling out there. Of course, if you learned anything from this video about the game, clicking the like button is the best way you can help us out. We would really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.